42 kilometers is not a joke. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Noelle, and today we're talking about how to train for your first marathon. I actually got asked this maybe a month or two ago by a follower who's doing their first marathon in a few weeks' time from now. In general, I think it's been a while since I actually talked about how to train for a marathon, and I just wanted to update it and refresh it for the YouTube generation, because the last time I spoke about this on my blog or on my website, people were still reading blogs. So I have now done 6 marathons. So 2010, 1, 2, the full Ironman marathon, Laguna Phuket, Sydney, and Osaka. So yes, those are 6 marathons over the past 15 years of me actually running and being into endurance sports. I am by no means an expert, but I do have years of experience following training plans and planning for marathons. And so I figure I can add to the discussion by giving a few tips on how you should train for your first marathon. If you have any questions or anything else that you want to have me address in maybe a future vlog or just writing it down in the comments, yeah, please let me know in the comments below and I will get back to you. So I have just crunched all of my tips down into maybe 3 tips for you if you're training for your first marathon. My first tip is plan. Whether you're doing a small race or a big race, there's usually a lot of time in advance to know which race you actually want to do. My first marathon, I found out the schedule really early in the year. It was the Milo Marathon Manila Eliminations in July 2010. And I knew it was happening on my birthday, so when registration opened early in the year, I think registration opened in March of that year, I made it a point to sign up right away because I wanted to do that race. So you really have to give yourself a lot of time to build, especially if you're doing your first marathon. And I'm assuming that you don't really have a huge endurance base. Maybe you've only been running from 6 months to a year to 2 years, etc. A lot of marathon plans have a 16 to 18 week length. If you're doing your first marathon, you want to be able to build up even before you start that marathon training plan. I would recommend that you should be able to do maybe an hour of non-stop running before you start training for a full marathon. Under planning as well is that you should actually set yourself a target time. A lot of people, they say, I want to do a marathon and my only goal is to finish, which is okay, but to make your training more efficient, you should know like what you're capable of at certain points during the build to that marathon. That will help you understand the training paces that you need to go. I'm overcomplicating things a lot, but let's just say, for instance, by the time that you signed up for a marathon, you're able to run for an hour, right? And in that hour, you're able to run 8 kilometers. So from that reckoning, you should be able to look up a pace calculator or a race predictor online, and it'll tell you where your marathon time will be at that current level of fitness. So for instance, when I started out and I started aiming for my first marathon, I was able to run a half marathon in about an hour and 56 minutes. And the race predictor told me that I would probably finish a full marathon in around 4 hours, 25 minutes, something like that, right? And from that finishing time, you can set like, okay, so your marathon pace is something per kilometer. And that's how you know, okay, this is my marathon pace. And then you can train at paces, at marathon pace, above marathon pace. Easy pace is actually lower than your marathon pace, etc. And so that will help you figure out how to train. Okay, how to train is another part of the plan tip, because the easiest way to train for a marathon is actually to get coaching for it. And there are marathons in this country that come with marathon training plans and a community around training for that particular marathon. I am, of course, talking about the Bull Runners Dream Marathon, which is a marathon for first and second time marathoners. And part of what you sign up for when you sign up for that race is that you get a defined build into that marathon. You get group runs and you get a training plan. I think you get consultation with coaches as well, you know, so that sort of thing, which is great. But a lot of other marathons don't have the same resources, and that's where the internet comes in. Because you can find like marathon beginner training plans online. A lot of them, if you're searching on Google, are going to be American-based, and they're going to be reckoned in miles. So the paces are in miles, minutes per mile instead of minutes per kilometer. And if you're living in the Philippines, we don't really reckon anything in miles. So you're going to have to do a lot of computing and conversion and all that. And so you need to look for a marathon training plan that's probably Australia-based or Europe-based, so that it's in kilometers. It's easier to wrap your head around. And so, yeah, you either go for a coaching, that's the simplest way of getting ready for a marathon, is that you have a coach that actively listens to you, looks at the training that they give you, adjusts it if you need to. If you're responding well, they'll probably add a little more. If you're not responding that well or you're finding it difficult to recover, then they'll tone it down a bit. If you can't afford the coach, there are a number of really good marathon beginner training plans floating around on the internet. There's lots of resources for you. But the point is, you need to have a plan of how you're going to get ready for that race, because 42 kilometers is not a joke. If you can't find a coach, the second best thing is to have a running community of people who've been there, people who've experienced the race and have trained for it, so that you can bounce ideas off them. You can get great tips. That was my position when I did my first marathon. I had so many other people to learn from, and I really benefited from that. Tip number 2, practice. Really, you can have a plan, but if you don't put that plan into action, nothing's gonna happen, okay? So under practice, you need consistency in training. That is the most important thing. Because, yeah, you can be a hero on the weekends. I'll do all my long runs, etc., etc. But then if you're a couch potato through the rest of the week, you're not really building that base that you need in order to succeed at the marathon. So yeah, consistency in training. You need to tick off the sessions that you've planned. Okay? It doesn't really matter if you're not 100%, like you don't have 100% attendance in those sessions, but maybe get up to 85% at least, passing rate. The other thing that you need to practice, or there are a few other things you need to practice other than just running, which is nutrition and gear. Marathons they go way beyond your body's capacity to hold energy stores. Like the maximum your body will ever have is 90 minutes of glycogen. Beyond that, you start tapping into fat, but that's not really very efficient. Most bodies are not really very efficient at breaking down the fat and turning it into energy. So that's how people experience something called the bonk, they feel low in energy, they start slowing down, etc. And so you need to practice taking on nutrition during long runs so that you can do it during the event itself. At the same time, you're also preparing your body and making it more efficient in using the energy in your body. So don't want to really complicate things. A lot of people are going to talk about, oh, you want to teach your body how to burn the fat, blah, blah, blah. And that's fine. If you have a long build into your marathon, you can look at that. But if you have, let's just say 20 weeks going into it, then your main focus should be teaching your body how to process eating and drinking, because you also have to think about how you're hydrating. I have an alert on my watch. It goes off every 15 minutes. So every 2 alerts, I need to drink. Every 3 alerts, I need to eat. That sort of thing. But that's something that I've learned through trial and error. And sometimes I will adjust it depending on race conditions and my condition as well. But yeah, it's just a rule of thumb that you need to practice taking on water and food, whether in the form of gels or energy bars or even candy. One of my friends eats candy during her marathon. So, yep, you need to practice that. The other thing you need to practice is actually gear. Gear, clothes, shoes. They always say never try anything new on race day. And this is so important when it comes to those things, because for a marathon, the race day is long. You're going to be on your feet for hours. You're going to be in the same clothes for hours. And if you haven't tested in training what works for you and what doesn't, if you haven't broken the shoes in, you could run into some issues that you didn't see during training, and then it's just going to plague you throughout race day. So you want to eliminate those things by making sure that what you're using is tried and tested. In training for that marathon, my first marathon, I was wearing these shorts with like an inner brief, right? And they were great for like up to 15 kilometers. And then when I went beyond 15 kilometers, I realized that I was chafing so bad because that inner liner just kept rubbing because of its seams. And so I started looking for solutions, and that's when I started using running tights instead of shorts for longer distances. So I tried it in a half marathon, and then longer, and then on race day, that's what I wore. I wore tights. Same goes for the sports bra. Like, there were some sports bras that were okay if I wasn't really sweating as much, but then beyond 2.5 hours, I started chafing in places that I didn't really like, and I knew that it was just gonna get worse and worse through longer events. So I road tested so many sports bras as well. And when it comes to shoes, some shoes are great for 5Ks, but then your feet swell as you run. And some of the shoes that I was wearing, which were great for 5Ks, they weren't great for longer distances. And yeah, some of the shoes just didn't have enough cushioning, or I would develop hot spots on the balls of my feet, which I didn't experience in those shoes. So I really tried a lot of different options before I settled on the ones that I found were most effective for me. Last thing for practice is an actual race rehearsal. I'm not saying you should run the entire 42 kilometers. No. But think about in the training plan that you are adopting, there is always a long run. And so during those long runs, you might try to test certain things that you want to do during the race. Like, for instance, the timers that I mentioned that's on the watch to tell you when to eat and drink, the clothes that you're going to wear for the race, and even the paces. So in my last marathon training block, in that 32-kilometer run, I would do 1 kilometer at marathon pace and then 2 kilometers at easy pace and then go again. So I could actually feel myself in the clothes that I was going to wear doing marathon pace. And that helped me adjust the gear that I was going to wear. That helped me adjust my expectations as well for the race. And so many things. Race rehearsals help you understand how you're going to feel. Or, you know, it helps you break through the uncertainty, because at this point you've never done that distance before, right? But when you rehearse in the same manner that you would do the entire distance, then it helps remove uncertainty in your head, or, you know, at least helps you control the controllables. Having a plan and then practicing, it will help you create a positive mindset, because it will help you understand, yes, I can do this because I did so and so in training. I think I can do this in racing. Instead of being down on yourself and thinking, I don't know if I can do this, I don't know if I can do this. Because you have a plan, because you've practiced, then it's possible that you can do it, right? That's in your head. The last tip, or the last point I want to discuss today, is experience. I'm just trying to get into the PPP. Experience. A lot of people, they turn marathon training into a penance of sorts, where it becomes very grim and determined, and you lose track of why you're doing the thing anyway. It's because you want to experience it. And why do people want to experience things? Because they enjoy it. Don't forget to have fun. It doesn't have to be boring. You can do it with friends, or you can listen to music. It's only the weird ones like myself who train without music, because I don't have a playlist that's long enough for my marathon. And then when you're actually racing, when you're actually performing already, accept the good with the bad. Things will happen to you, and you will make things happen. Just drink it all in. Because at the very end of it, and I said this already, is that you wanted to do this because you were interested in the experience of doing a marathon. You wanted to find out what it was like. You wanted to achieve something for yourself. Remember, your main goal anyway was to finish it. Don't lose track of why you're doing it. Anyway, there are a lot of things we didn't go into today, but I hope that those 3 tips that I gave will help you find a framework where you can approach training for your first marathon. You know, enjoy the experience of it, because the marathon isn't just that one-day race. It's all the months leading into it, and the kind of person you discover you are during that entire period. On race day, it's only the celebration of everything that you did for yourself during that training for the marathon. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this interesting, informative, entertaining, please do give me a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel. Please like this video, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye!